In an atmosphere where all musicians, singers, instrumentalists and performers cry for their concerts, gigs, stalls and tours, we unfairly neglect an artist who has probably lost the most in this pandemic. His audience is huge, measured in millions of people around the world. His performance has never passed without tens or hundreds of thousands of fans who, without exaggeration, worship him. At the same time, he is also the man who owns the longest-lived copyright in the world. Today, he is without tours, without performances, without direct contact with a yearning audience. Without subsidized grants or social packages, he still keeps himself dignified, always well-groomed and dressed in white. Ladies and gentlemen, the only man who could go on a world tour without a new album, His Majesty the Pope.
I got actually a phone call in January 2019. I was in Groningen after the festival awards. We won that year the Best Small Festival for Artmania, so I kind of partied that night. So in the morning I get a phone call, and also, of course, it's like, hello, I'm from it was the Greek Catholic Church, and you might have heard, but Pope Francis is coming to Blaj, and there will be the Holy Mass, and we are considering and would like you to take care of the event. Of course, you kind of think it's a joke, right? We do a heavy metal festival and a rock festival, and I'm also like a woman, you know? So I was like, okay, I call you a little bit later, because I thought that's okay, there's some jokes made by my colleagues, because after we won the Best Small Festival for a metal festival, then it's, what can you do as a joke? And then I called, and of course it was still the priest on the phone when I called back a couple of hours later. And I explained that I'm in Holland, but I'm coming back and I will come to visit, so I understand what's more about this and what needs to be done, and to get a little bit more, how do you call it, information, because despite the fact it's really thrilling to see that, okay, would you like to organize the Sunday Mass of the Pope? I kind of remembered some of the recordings that I saw in YouTube or some other places, and it's always a lot of people. They said, well, we kind of studied a little bit, and this is going to happen. Of course, at the beginning, because I had a discussion initially with the people from the church, there will be a stage, there will be some tents, and there needs to be all these people coming to the Liberty Field. The Liberty Field is in Romania, a very historic park with a very big surface, like open surface. And I said, okay, interesting. I thought, do I do it? I don't do it. Of course, you can't say no. I thought, if I say no to this, I would regret it a whole life. And more or less, I moved to that city end of January, and came back to my home in Bucharest middle of June. It was a very, very difficult process, because one, I got really well along with the people from the church, extremely wise people that I had to work with. So it was also a lot of philosophical discussions about belief, about dogma, about religion, about meaning, which that I think in a way I also won their hearts. But it was also immediately at the beginning of February, I had to meet the people who were in charge from the military aspect of the visit, so from the security aspect, because there was like a double coordination. I was in charge of the event, so I was kind of the project director, but there was a commander of the security part of the event. And it was a person who had no prejudices, because I was a woman and because I was much younger. So I have to say that it somehow helped and saved me, because you need to imagine that it was a lot of people like priests and generals and me. So we worked really well together with the different divisions of the government, from different divisions of the military or the police or the security services. So they were just like, okay, what do we do here? Let's advise here, let's discuss here. And they were really listening. It was really, really hard work, because the level of detail you need to imagine in that type of event, the security reasons that you need. I mean, the security aspects you need to take into account when doing the plan. But every time I went through the venue, either especially on the event day, but also before, is that like when you see all that snipers. We had 50,000 people on the field. That was the maximum capacity. We had 6 different, 6 different access points. So practically what was really interesting, what I've learned, and when I designed the plan, was that it was somehow independent from each other. So the evacuation, from water to toilet facilities to everything was separated. We also built it up, which was another thing. We had the actual field, but we had evacuation fields, because we realized that despite the fact that we have the city park, which is kind of an open area, the streets outside were kind of narrow. So we took 2 fields on the left and right of the actual event field, which were access and evacuation fields in case of emergency. What I also liked was that the simplicity that he asked, for example, in his back rooms, which you don't call for the Pope backstage, but it was somehow a backstage. And I'm really, really happy and proud of the people from the church that they were open so that we work with a contemporary art designer. Because I told them when we do the design, it should be done so that this is both beautiful as a symbolism, but also beautiful and contemporary as an object. We implemented there something that we got from our own festivals, doing recycling. So we gathered over 1.8 tons of plastic in an event where practically we didn't sell anything, we just gave free water. But I talked with the church and I said, it is in line with the Pope's beliefs that we should have respect towards the nature. So let's get this partner who helps us collect to do this recycling. And it was so beautiful there, because there was no garbage. Everyone was respectful. We had volunteers which were talking with the people about being responsible towards the nature and all. So that, I think, was something that we brought from the festival to the Pope event, and they were really happy to implement it, and they allowed us to do it. This message regarding keeping the planet healthy and clean can be also given through the church.